I told my nephew his dead mom never loved him. My sister died 3 years ago in a car accident on Route 9. She was coming home from her nursing shift at the hospital. Some guy ran a red light going 60 in a 35 zone. She didn't even make it to the ambulance. Her son, Austin, was 5 when it happened. I was 26, single, working at a warehouse loading trucks. Suddenly, I'm a parent. Austin moved into my apartment that same week. I cleared out my home office and bought him a twin bed from IKEA, put up some dinosaur posters, tried to make it look like a kid's room instead of just a storage space with a mattress. The first 6 months were okay. He was quiet, watched a lot of cartoons, ate chicken nuggets every single night. I didn't know what I was doing, but we managed. Then he started school. First grade was fine. Second grade, he started getting in trouble, talking back to teachers, pushing kids on the playground. The principal called me 4 times in October alone. I had to leave work early twice to pick him up from the office. My supervisor was getting annoyed. Last month was the worst. Austin got suspended for 3 days because he bit another kid during recess. Actually broke skin. The other kid's parents threatened to press charges until the school talked them down. I had to take unpaid time off to stay home with him because I couldn't afford a babysitter. While he was suspended, he trashed his room, ripped up all his homework, threw his lamp at the wall and broke it, kicked a hole in the closet door. I came home from grabbing groceries and found markers all over the hallway wall, just scribbles and angry faces everywhere.
The deposit on my apartment was definitely gone now. I tried everything, talked to him calmly, asked what was wrong. He just stared at the TV and ignored me. I took away his tablet. He didn't care. I tried giving him extra dessert when he behaved. Nothing worked. The school counselor said he needed therapy for grief and trauma. The cheapest therapist I could find wanted $200 per session. I was already behind on electric bills. 2 weeks ago, I found my sister's jewelry box in his room. He'd gone through my closet and taken it. All her rings and necklaces were scattered on his floor. Some were broken. The silver bracelet my mom gave her for high school graduation was bent completely in half. He'd been stepping on them apparently, grinding them into the carpet. I lost it. Completely lost it. I grabbed him by the shoulders and yelled louder than I ever had. Asked him why he kept destroying everything. Why he couldn't just be normal for 5 minutes. He started crying and said he missed his mom. Said he wanted her back. That's when I said it. I looked right at him and told him his mom never loved him. Said if she actually loved him, she wouldn't have been working that night. She would have stayed home where she belonged. I said she chose her job over him and that's why she's dead. Austin went completely silent. Stopped crying instantly. Just stared at me with this blank face. Then he walked to his room and closed the door. Didn't slam it. Just closed it quietly. That was 3 days ago. He hasn't spoken to me since. Won't eat the food I make. Won't look at me. Just sits in his room with the door closed. Yesterday my mom called. Said Austin's school called her because they have her listed as emergency contact. Apparently Austin told his teacher what I said. The teacher reported it. Now there's a social worker coming to my apartment on Friday to do a home visit, and my mom won't stop calling. She keeps saying I need to fix this before they take him away. I finally went into Austin's room tonight to apologize. He was sitting on his bed holding a photo of my sister. He looked up at me with tears running down his face and said he remembers the accident. Said he was supposed to be in the car with her that night, but she dropped him at my mom's last minute. Then he whispered that he thinks it's his fault she's dead. I stood there frozen in the doorway. My brain couldn't process what he just said. Austin was supposed to be in the car with her that night. My sister Nicole had never mentioned this to me. Mom had never said anything. In 3 years, nobody told me Austin was supposed to die with her. What do you mean? My voice came out hoarse. Austin wiped his face with his sleeve. Mom was going to take me to get ice cream after her shift. She always did on Thursdays, but then Grandma called and said she made cookies and could she drop me off first. Mom said okay. He clutched the photo tighter. It was from his 4th birthday. Nicole blowing out candles while Austin laughed beside her. If Grandma didn't call, I would have been there, in the car. Mom wouldn't have been alone when that man hit her, the way he said it. So matter of fact, like he'd been turning this over in his head for 3 years, examining it from every angle, and this was simply the truth he'd arrived at. I sat down on the edge of his bed. My hands were shaking. Austin, that's not... You can't think like that. But it's true. His voice was small. Teacher showed us a video about car accidents in safety class. Said kids are supposed to sit in the back. If I was there, maybe the man would have seen us better. Maybe he would have stopped. Jesus Christ. He'd been carrying this for 3 years, while I complained about his behavior and took away his tablet and yelled at him for breaking things. I'm the reason she's dead, he whispered. And now you hate me too. Something broke inside my chest. Not broke. Shattered. into 1,000 pieces that I'd never be able to put back together the same way. I reached for him, but he flinched. Actually flinched away from me like I might hit him. "I don't hate you," I said. My throat was so tight I could barely get the words out. "Austin, I don't hate you. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry for what I said." He just stared at the floor. "Your mom loved you more than anything in the world. More than her job, more than anything. What I said was a lie. I was angry and tired, and I said something horrible that wasn't true. Still nothing. And the accident wasn't your fault. It was the other driver's fault. He ran a red light. He was going too fast. Nothing you did or didn't do caused that." Austin's shoulders started shaking. Quiet sobs that made barely any sound. I tried to hug him, but he pulled away, crawled to the far corner of his bed and curled up facing the wall. "Can you leave?" he said to the dinosaur poster. "Please?" I left, closed the door, stood in the hallway trying to breathe. My phone buzzed. Mom calling again. I answered this time. "Did you talk to him?" she said immediately. "Yeah. And? He told me he was supposed to be in the car with Nicole that night." Silence on the other end. Long enough that I checked to see if the call dropped. "Mom? I know." Her voice sounded raw. "I've known since it happened. Why didn't you tell me? Because you were barely holding it together as it was? You were 26 years old, suddenly responsible for a 5-year-old. You didn't need that weight, too." I slid down the wall until I was sitting on the floor. "He thinks it's his fault she died. I know that, too." "How long?" "Since the funeral. Maybe before. He asked me once if people die when they're alone because nobody's there to help them. He was 6. I pressed my palm against my forehead. "The social worker is coming Friday." "I know. That's why I've been calling. You need to get your apartment cleaned up. You need to have food in the fridge. Real food, not just frozen dinners. And you need to figure out what you're going to say when they ask why Austin told his teacher that you said his mother never loved him." "I don't know what to say." "Try the truth, that you're overwhelmed and you made a terrible mistake and you're getting help." "Are you getting help?" "I can't afford therapy. There's county services, free counseling for guardians. Nicole's victim compensation fund should cover some of Austin's therapy too. I'll send you the information." She paused. "And if they ask me, I'm going to tell them you're doing your best, that Austin is fed and clothed and going to school, that you've never hurt him physically, that you had a bad moment but you're not a bad guardian, even after what I said to him, especially after, because I know you didn't mean it. You loved Nicole more than anyone except maybe me. And you've given up 3 years of your life to raise her son when you could have let the state take him. That counts for something." After we hung up, I sat there for another 20 minutes. Then I got up and started cleaning. The marker on the hallway walls came off with rubbing alcohol and paper towels. Took 2 hours and my hands were raw, but I got most of it. The hole in Austin's closet door I couldn't fix, but I hung a poster over it. Threw out all the expired food in the fridge. Made a list of groceries to buy tomorrow. At midnight, I checked on Austin. He was asleep, still curled up in the corner of his bed, still holding Nicole's photo. I pulled his blanket over him and left the door cracked open. Thursday morning, Austin still wasn't talking to me. He ate the cereal I poured but wouldn't look up from the bowl. Walked to the bus stop 3 steps ahead of me. Got on without saying goodbye. I called in sick to work. Drove to the grocery store and bought actual food. Chicken breasts, fresh vegetables, bread that wasn't pre-sliced. Spent $140 I didn't really have. Then I went to the county services office Mom had texted me about. The woman at the front desk gave me a stack of paperwork. Guardianship verification forms, income statements, some kind of needs assessment questionnaire that asked things like, how often does the child exhibit behavioral problems? And do you have adequate support systems in place? I filled it out as honestly as I could. The woman took it back and said someone would call me within a week to schedule an intake appointment. We're pretty backed up right now, she said, not unkindly. But given your situation with the social worker visit, I'll flag it as priority. I drove home, put away the groceries, vacuumed the entire apartment, fixed the toilet that had been running for 2 months, changed the burnt-out bulb in the hallway. When Austin got home from school, he stopped in the doorway and looked around. You cleaned, he said. First words he'd spoken to me in days. Yeah, why? Because someone's coming tomorrow to make sure you're okay, and I want them to see that you are. He set his backpack down. Am I? Are you what? Okay? I didn't know how to answer that. I'm trying to make sure you are. He nodded slowly, went to his room. Came back out 10 minutes later. Can we have real dinner tonight? Not nuggets? Yeah, I bought chicken and rice. Mom used to make that. I know. Her recipe is probably still in her cookbook. We can try to make it the same way. We didn't talk much while cooking. I let Austin tear up the lettuce for salad. He measured the rice. I handled the stove. The chicken came out a little dry, but the rice was perfect. Austin ate 2 plates. First time in months I'd seen him actually finish a meal. After dinner, he helped me load the dishwasher without being asked. "Uncle Garrett?" he said while I wiped down the counter. "Yeah? I know you didn't mean it. What you said." I stopped wiping. "That doesn't make it okay." "I know, but I also didn't mean to break Mom's bracelet. I was just mad and I stepped on it and it broke."
Sometimes we do bad things when we're mad. 8 years old. 8 years old, and he was the one extending forgiveness to me. "Your mom's bracelet can probably be fixed," I said. "A jeweler can solder it back together. We can bring it in this weekend." "Really? Really? And Austin? What you said about the accident, about thinking it's your fault. That's not true. You know that, right?" He shrugged. "I guess. Not I guess. It's not true. The man who hit your mom's car, he was drunk. Did you know that?" Austin shook his head. "The police report said his blood alcohol was twice the legal limit. He'd been at a bar for 3 hours. He ran a red light going 60 miles an hour in a 35 zone. If you'd been in the car, you'd both be gone. And that still would have been his fault, not yours." Austin's eyes started watering. "But if Grandma hadn't called, then you and your mom would have gotten ice cream and gone home and everything would have been fine until the next time someone made a bad choice. You can't control other people's choices. Neither could your mom. She dropped you off at Grandma's because that's what moms do. They keep their kids safe, even when they don't know why." He wiped his face. "Do you really think Mom loved me? I know she did. She called me the day you were born, crying because she couldn't believe something so perfect existed. She showed me every single drawing you ever made. She worked extra shifts to save money for your college fund. Everything she did was for you. Then why'd you say, 'Because I'm an idiot who was tired and angry and said the worst thing I could think of to hurt you'? Because I'm not your mom and I don't know how to do this and sometimes I mess up really badly. But that doesn't change the truth about how much she loved you." Austin was quiet for a minute. Then he said, "Can I see the police report? About the accident? Why? Because maybe if I read it, I'll believe it wasn't my fault." Jesus, 8 years old. "I'll see if I can get a copy. The details might be hard to read, though. I can handle it." And somehow, I believed him. Friday morning, I woke up at 6, cleaned the bathroom again, made sure there were fresh towels, set out the paperwork from county services where the social worker could see it. Austin ate breakfast without being told. Actually made his bed before school, put on clothes that matched. "You nervous?" I asked while we waited for the bus. "Kind of. Me too." "What's gonna happen?" "They're gonna ask you questions about living here, about how I treat you, whether you feel safe. Just tell the truth. Even about what you said? Even about that. Don't lie for me. If they think you need to live somewhere else to be okay, then that's what should happen." Austin looked up at me. "I don't want to live somewhere else." "Yeah? Yeah. You're not good at being a dad yet, but you're getting better. And you cook better than you used to. And this is where all my stuff is." Not the most ringing endorsement, but I'd take it. The social worker showed up at 3:30. Her name was Patricia Voss. Late 40s, gray hair pulled back in a bun, carrying a leather briefcase that looked older than me. She smiled when I opened the door, but it didn't reach her eyes. Professional courtesy. "Mr. Garrett Hendricks?" "That's me. I'm Patricia Voss with Child Protective Services. We spoke on the phone yesterday." "Right. Come in." She walked through slowly, taking in every detail. The clean living room, the stocked fridge visible from the entrance, the closed door to Austin's room with his name on it in foam letters. "Austin's at school right now, but he gets home at 4:15, I said. "I took the afternoon off work." "I appreciate that." She sat on the couch and pulled out a tablet. "Before he arrives, I'd like to ask you some questions about the incident that was reported." Here we go. "The teacher reported that Austin disclosed you told him his mother never loved him. Is that accurate?" "Yes." She waited like she expected me to elaborate. When I didn't, she prompted, "Can you tell me what led to that statement?" I told her. All of it. The suspension, the destroyed room, the broken jewelry, losing my temper, the exact words I'd used. She typed notes the whole time. Her expression never changed. "And have you said similar things to Austin before?" "No, never." "Has there been any other verbal abuse?" "I've yelled at him before when he's been acting up, but nothing like that. Nothing designed to hurt him." "Physical abuse?" "No. I grabbed his shoulders that day, but I didn't hit him." "Sexual abuse?" "Jesus, no." I have to ask. Neglect? Leaving him alone for extended periods? Inadequate food? Lack of medical care? He's fed. He goes to school. I take him to the doctor when he's sick. I work during the day, but I'm home by 6. My mom checks on him sometimes after school. More typing. "What's your current employment?" "Warehouse worker at Ballard Distribution. Loading trucks mostly. I make $15 an hour." "And that's sufficient to support both of you?" "Barely. We get by. Austin has survivor benefits from Nicole's Social Security that help with expenses. Nicole was Austin's mother? My sister. She died 3 years ago. I have that in the file. Car accident. You became Austin's legal guardian at that time? Yeah. Mom's too old to chase a 5-year-old around and Nicole's ex isn't in the picture. So it was me or foster care. Patricia looked up from her tablet. How has that been for you? Taking on guardianship? Honestly? Harder than I thought. I didn't know anything about kids. Still don't really. I'm figuring it out as I go. Are you receiving any support? Counseling? Parenting classes? Support groups? Not yet. I went to county services yesterday and filled out intake paperwork. They said they'd call me within a week. Good. That's good. She made another note. Tell me about Austin's behavior at home. I told her about the progression, the quiet first year, the increasing problems at school, the suspension, the property damage. And you understand why he's acting out? Grief, trauma, anger that his mom's gone and he's stuck with an uncle who doesn't know what he's doing. The school counselor recommended therapy. Yeah, I can't afford it. The cheapest place wanted $200 a session. There are sliding scale options. And as I'm sure county services told you, there's victim compensation funds that cover children who've lost a parent to violent crime. A drunk driving fatality qualifies. I'm learning all this now. Nicole handled everything before. I didn't know what resources existed. The front door opened. Austin came in, saw Patricia, and froze. Hey buddy, I said. This is Ms. Voss. She's here to talk to us. Austin set his backpack down slowly. Am I in trouble? No, Patricia said. She had a different voice now. Warmer. You're not in any trouble at all. I just want to make sure you're okay. Is that all right? He nodded. Why don't you show me your room? Austin led her down the hall. I stayed in the living room, listening to the murmur of their conversation through the walls. Couldn't make out words, just tones. Patricia asking questions. Austin responding in his small voice. They were in there for 30 minutes. When they came out, Austin went straight to his room and closed the door. Patricia sat back down on the couch. Austin says you apologized for what you said. Is that correct? Yes, the same night it happened. He also says you've been nicer this week, making better food, cleaning more, spending time with him. I'm trying. He told me about the jewelry, about breaking his mother's bracelet. Said you're taking him to get it fixed this weekend. I nodded. Patricia was quiet for a moment. Then she said, Austin also told me he thinks his mother's death was his fault because he was supposed to be in the car that night. Were you aware of this? Not until 3 days ago when he told me. Has he received any counseling for survivor's guilt? No. I didn't know he had it until this week. More typing. Then she closed her tablet and looked at me directly. Mr. Hendricks, what you said to Austin was harmful. It was cruel. It targeted his deepest vulnerability at a time when he was already struggling. I didn't argue. Couldn't. However, I've been doing this job for 16 years. I've seen real abuse. I've removed children from homes where they were being starved, beaten, sold. What I see here is a young man who's overwhelmed and under-resourced, trying to raise a traumatized child alone. Am I correct? Yes. Austin told me he feels safe here. He said you've never hit him. He said there's always food, even if it's just chicken nuggets. He said you help him with homework when he asks. He said his grandma visits and brings cookies. He said his room is clean and warm and he has his own bed. She leaned forward slightly. He also said this week has been the best week since his mom died because you've been acting more like she used to. Cooking real dinners. Talking to him. Not just yelling. My throat went tight. I'm going to file a report documenting this visit. I'm going to note that the home is clean and adequately provisioned. That Austin appears healthy and is attending school regularly. That you've already begun seeking support services. And I'm going to strongly recommend that both you and Austin begin therapy as soon as possible. Okay. I'm also going to schedule a follow-up visit in 3 months. If at that time I see that you've engaged with services and Austin's well-being has improved, this case will be closed. If not, we'll reevaluate. Do you understand? Yes. This is a second chance, Mr. Hendricks. Use it wisely. After she left, I sat on the couch for a long time. Then I went to Austin's room. He was lying on his bed reading a comic book. She said we're okay, I told him. You can stay here. He looked up. Did you think I couldn't? I didn't know. I was worried they'd take you away. Where would I go? Foster care, maybe. Or to live with Grandma. Austin made a face. Grandma's house smells like napkins, and she doesn't have internet. Despite everything, I almost laughed. Mothballs, not napkins. Whatever. They smell bad. I sat on the edge of his bed. Ms. Voss said we both need to go to therapy. There's money to pay for it from your mom's accident fund. Do I have to talk about feelings? Probably. That sounds terrible. Yeah, but maybe it'll help. He went back to his comic book. Uncle Garrett? Yeah? Thanks for not giving up on me. even when I'm bad. You're not bad, Austin, you're hurt.
There's a difference. He didn't respond, but I saw him wipe his eyes with his sleeve. That weekend, I took him to the jeweler on Maple Street. The woman there said she could fix Nicole's bracelet for $35. Austin watched through the glass partition while she soldered the broken piece back together. Good as new, she said, handing it back. Not quite. You could still see the seam where it broke, but close enough. Austin held it carefully in both hands all the way back to the car. "Can I keep it?" he asked. "In my room?" "Yeah, it was your mom's. It should be yours." That night, he put it on his nightstand next to her photo, positioned it just so, checked on it 3 times before bed to make sure it was still there. Monday morning, I got a call from County Services. They had an opening for intake assessment Thursday at 4:30. Could I make it? I told my supervisor I needed Thursday afternoon off. He wasn't happy, but he approved it. The assessment was 2 hours of paperwork and questions. Same woman from before, plus a counselor named Jerome who specialized in kinship care. That's what they called it when family members became guardians. Kinship care. Jerome was in his 30s, balding, wore a tie with cartoon characters on it. He talked to me like I was a person instead of a case number. "Sounds like you've been in survival mode," he said after I explained the last 3 years. "Pretty much. That's common. You go from 0 to 100 overnight. No training, no preparation. Just suddenly you're responsible for keeping a whole human alive." Exactly. And nobody tells you it's okay to struggle with that. They just expect you to figure it out because family takes care of family, right? I nodded. "Well, I'm telling you now, it's okay to struggle. What you're doing is hard, and it's okay to need help." He set me up with a parenting support group that met Tuesday nights at the community center. Free childcare provided during the meeting. Also gave me a list of resources I'd never heard of. Emergency food assistance, utility bill help, free rec programs for kids. "Austin's therapist," I said. "How do I find one?" "I'll refer you to someone who specializes in childhood grief and trauma. Her name's Dr. Reina Campos. She's excellent. Works on a sliding scale and accepts the Victim Compensation Fund payments." "How soon can he start?" "I'll have her office call you next week. Usually takes 2 or 3 weeks to get the first appointment scheduled." For the first time since Patricia Voss walked into my apartment, I felt like maybe we'd actually be okay. Tuesday night, I took Austin to his first therapy appointment. Dr. Campos's office was in a converted house near the park. Waiting room had toys and books. Walls painted soft blue instead of institutional beige. Dr. Campos herself was maybe 50. Long dark hair, wearing jeans and a cardigan. She shook Austin's hand like he was an adult. "Nice to meet you, Austin. Your uncle's going to wait out here while we talk, okay?" Austin looked at me. I nodded. He followed her back. They were in there for 50 minutes. When Austin came out, he didn't say anything about what they'd discussed. Just asked if we could stop for ice cream on the way home. I said yes. While he ate his chocolate cone, I asked carefully, "How was it?" "Fine." "Just fine?" She asked a lot of questions. About mom and school and stuff. "Did it help?" He shrugged. "Maybe." She said I have to come back next week. "Is that okay with you?" "I guess." Not exactly a ringing endorsement, but he went back the next week. And the week after that. Slowly, small things started changing. Austin's teacher emailed that he seemed calmer in class. Still struggled with focus, but the outbursts had decreased. He started doing his homework without being asked. Sometimes. The nightmares he'd been having 3 times a week dropped to once a week. He asked questions about Nicole. What she was like before he was born. Whether she'd always wanted to be a nurse. If she'd been good at school. I answered as best I could. Showed him photos I'd never taken out before. Told him stories about our childhood. The time she tried to dye her hair purple and it came out green. How she used to make me play hospital and I'd always have to be the patient with something dramatic wrong. Austin laughed at that one. First real laugh I'd heard from him in months. My parenting group on Tuesday nights turned out to be more helpful than I expected. 8 other guardians in similar situations. Grandparents raising grandkids, aunts and uncles. One older sister who'd taken in her 3 younger siblings after their parents OD'd. Nobody judged. Nobody pretended it was easy. We just traded strategies for getting kids to eat vegetables and managing homework battles and dealing with schools that didn't understand trauma. "Garrett," one of the grandmas said after I shared what happened with Austin, "You made a mistake. A bad one. But you owned it, and you're fixing it. That's more than a lot of biological parents do." It helped. Not enough to erase the guilt, but enough to keep moving forward. 3 months after Patricia Voss's first visit, she came back for the follow-up. Austin was doing homework at the kitchen table. He said hi when she came in but didn't seem nervous this time. Patricia asked him the same questions as before. How was school? Did he feel safe? Was Uncle Garrett treating him okay? Austin answered easily. School was better. He still got mad sometimes, but Dr. Campos was helping.
Uncle Garrett made real food now and only yelled when Austin really deserved it. "And do you feel like your uncle loves you?" Patricia asked. Austin looked over at me. "Yeah, I think so." "You think so?" He's not good at saying it. But he shows up to my parent-teacher conferences and he bought me new shoes when my old ones got too small and he learned how to make Mom's chicken recipe even though he's a bad cook. So yeah, Patricia smiled. Actually smiled. That sounds like love to me. She asked to see Austin's room again, noted that the hole in the closet door had been properly patched, that there were new books on the shelf, that the broken lamp had been replaced with one that worked. When she came back out, she pulled out her tablet and typed for a few minutes. "Based on what I've observed today, I'm closing this case. Austin appears to be thriving. You've engaged with recommended services. The home environment is stable and safe." I felt my shoulders drop about 6 inches. "Continue with therapy for both of you," she added. "Keep attending the support group. And Mr. Hendricks?" "Yeah? You're doing better than you think you are." After she left, Austin said, "Does this mean you're stuck with me forever now?" "Looks like it." "Good, because I'm not going anywhere." That night, I started therapy with Jerome. One-on-one sessions every other week. We talked about Nicole, about the guilt I felt for not being able to save her even though I was 200 miles away when it happened, about the resentment I'd built up toward Austin for changing my entire life, about the anger that had been sitting in my chest for 3 years with nowhere to go.
"You said a horrible thing," Jerome told me during our third session. "But you said it because you were drowning and Austin was the only other person in the water. You lashed out at him because he was there, and you didn't know what else to do with all that pain. That doesn't make it okay." "No, but it makes it human. And recognizing that is the first step toward not doing it again." 6 months in, Austin brought home a report card with all C's and 1 B. First time in 2 years he'd passed everything. I stuck it on the fridge with a magnet. "Mom used to do that," Austin said quietly. "I know. She did it with mine too. Even when you got bad grades. Especially when I got bad grades. She said everybody deserves to have their effort recognized." Austin touched the corner of the paper. "I miss her." "Me too, buddy. But I'm glad you're here." I pulled him into a side hug. He let me. Didn't even squirm away after 3 seconds like usual. We stood there in the kitchen looking at the report card on the fridge, not saying anything, not needing to. A year after Patricia Voss closed our case, Austin started 4th grade. New teacher, bigger classroom, more homework, but also friends. 3 kids he ate lunch with every day. Birthday party invitations that actually got RSVPs. A teacher who emailed me to say Austin had volunteered to help a new student who didn't speak English yet. "He's very patient with her," Mrs. Walsh wrote. "It's clear he understands what it's like to feel lost." Dr. Campus reduced Austin's sessions to twice a month, said he was making excellent progress on processing his grief and survivor's guilt. Still had hard days, but the baseline was so much better. My own therapy continued. Jerome helped me work through the complicated feelings about becoming a parent when I'd never planned to be one. About loving Austin while also sometimes resenting the life I'd lost. About forgiving myself for the worst thing I'd ever said. "You're not going to wake up one day and feel like you've got it all figured out," he said. "Parenting doesn't work that way. You just wake up and try to do a little better than yesterday." The Tuesday night support group became something I actually looked forward to. We celebrated small victories, commiserated over setbacks, shared resources and strategies. One of the grandmas brought homemade tamales every week. Another guy always had jokes that were so bad they looped back to being funny. These people got it. They understood the exhaustion and frustration and unexpected joy of raising kids who'd already been through more trauma than anyone should experience. Austin's 9th birthday was the first one where he actually seemed happy. We had a small party at the bowling alley. 6 kids from his class. Grandma came. Made his favorite cake, chocolate with vanilla frosting. He blew out the candles and I caught him looking at Nicole's photo on his phone before he made his wish. Later, while we were cleaning up, he said, "I wished for Mom to know I'm okay now." My throat went tight. "I think she knows, buddy." "You think she's proud of me?" "I know she is. She'd be so proud of how brave you've been, how hard you've worked, how kind you are to other kids who are struggling. What about you? Are you proud of me?" I stopped folding the tablecloth and looked at him. Really looked at him. This kid who'd survived so much, who'd forgiven me when he didn't have to, who got up every day and tried again even when everything felt impossible. "Yeah, Austin, I'm so proud of you I don't even have words for it." He smiled. Actually, smiled. The real kind that reached his eyes. That night after he went to bed, I pulled out the box of Nicole's things I'd been avoiding for 3 years. Letters she'd written, photos from college, her nursing school graduation announcement. At the bottom was a journal from the year Austin was born. I'd never read it before,
Felt like an invasion of privacy even though she was gone, but something made me open it tonight. Most entries were mundane, schedules and grocery lists and notes about Austin's milestones.
First smile, first tooth, first word. Then I found the entry from 2 days before she died. Austin asked me today if I'll love him forever, she'd written. I told him forever isn't long enough, that I'll love him beyond forever, into whatever comes after. He's the best thing I ever did with my life. If something ever happens to me, I hope whoever takes care of him knows what a gift he is. I hope they see what I see, a kid with the biggest heart, the brightest spirit. I hope they're patient with him. I hope they love him even half as much as I do. That would be enough. I closed the journal and sat there in the dark living room crying harder than I had since her funeral. She'd known. Somehow she'd known. And she'd left me instructions. See what I see. Be patient. Love him. The next morning I made pancakes for breakfast. Austin's favorite. Shaped them like dinosaurs even though they looked more like blobs. He laughed when he saw them. These are terrible. I know. Eat them anyway. While he drowned them in syrup, I said, Hey, Austin? Yeah? I love you. I don't say it enough, but I do. You're not just my responsibility or my nephew. You're my kid, and I'm glad you're here. Austin stopped with his fork halfway to his mouth, stared at me like I'd grown a second head. Are you okay? He asked. Did you hit your head or something? No, I wanted you to know. Your mom loved you beyond forever, and I might not be as good at it as she was, but I love you too. A lot. His eyes got watery. He looked down at his dinosaur pancakes. I love you too, Uncle Garrett. Not Dad. I didn't expect him to call me that. Probably never would. But Uncle said with that much feeling, that was enough. 2 years later, Austin was in 6th grade, almost 12, getting tall and gangly, voice starting to crack occasionally, which embarrassed him to death. He still saw Dr. Campos once a month. Still had hard days, especially around the anniversary of Nicole's death. But he had tools now for managing the grief and guilt. Knew how to ask for help when he needed it. We'd gotten into a rhythm. Homework right after school. Dinner at 6. Clean up together. An hour of video games or TV before bed on school nights. More on weekends. I'd been promoted to shift supervisor at the warehouse. Better pay. Actual benefits. Enough that we moved to a 2-bedroom apartment in a better school district. Austin got his own bathroom. Nearly cried when he saw it. I don't have to share with your gross beard hair anymore, he said. My beard hair is not gross. It's literally everywhere. It's like living with a sheepdog. Grandma still visited every week. Brought cookies and news from the extended family, and an endless supply of embarrassing stories about Nicole and me as kids. Austin loved those stories, collected them like treasures. The Tuesday group had evolved. Some people moved on. New folks joined, but the core stayed the same. We'd been through enough together that we'd become something like family. When one grandpa died, we all went to the funeral. When another guardian had a health scare, we organized meal trains and picked up her kids from school. When someone was struggling, we listened and helped and didn't judge. Jerome eventually transitioned me from therapy to just monthly check-ins. Said I'd done the work, had the tools, knew when to ask for help. You're not the same person who walked into my office 3 years ago, he said during our last full session. That guy was barely holding it together. You're actually parenting now, not just surviving. I still mess up sometimes. Everyone does. That's not the measure. The measure is what you do after. On the 3-year anniversary of Nicole's death, Austin and I drove out to the cemetery like we did every year. Brought fresh flowers, sat by her headstone for a while, not saying much. This year was different, though. Austin wasn't crying, wasn't withdrawn, just thoughtful. I used to think that if I was good enough, she'd come back, he said eventually. Like if I got perfect grades or never got in trouble or did everything right, someone would notice and fix it. And now? Now I know she's gone, like really gone. Not coming back no matter what I do. He pulled a blade of grass and twisted it between his fingers. Dr. Campos says that's called acceptance. I think it's just called sad. It can be both. Yeah. We sat there a while longer. Then Austin said, but I also know she'd want me to be happy. Not just okay. Actually happy. And I think I'm getting there. Yeah? Yeah. I mean, school still sucks sometimes. And I miss her every day. But I also laugh at stupid videos and eat pizza and hang out with my friends. And I don't feel guilty about it anymore. Like I'm allowed to have a life even though she doesn't. I put my arm around his shoulders. He didn't pull away. Your mom would be so proud of you, I said, for surviving this, for being kind anyway, for not letting the worst thing that ever happened to you turn you into someone hard and angry. I was angry for a while. I know. I'm sorry I bit that kid in 2nd grade. He probably deserved it. Austin laughed. actually laughed at his mom's grave, and somehow that felt right. Like Nicole would have wanted us to find moments of joy even here. Before we left, Austin pulled something out of his pocket, the silver bracelet. He'd been keeping it safe for 3 years. "I think Mom should have this back," he said. It was hers. He set it carefully on top of her headstone, positioned it just right so it caught the sun. We drove home mostly quiet. When we pulled into the parking lot, Austin said, "Thanks for not giving up on me. Even when I was really hard to deal with, thanks for not giving up on me either. You were also really hard to deal with." Fair. That night, Austin asked if we could make Nicole's chicken recipe for dinner. We'd gotten pretty good at it over the years, not quite as good as hers, but close enough. While the rice was cooking, Austin's phone buzzed. Text from one of his friends about some video they all thought was hilarious. He typed back, laughing, looking like a normal, almost 12-year-old kid texting his friends about normal kid things. Not a kid carrying the weight of his mom's death like an anchor. Not a kid who thought he was responsible for a drunk driver's choices. Just Austin, my nephew, my kid. The one who'd survived the worst and came out the other side still capable of laughing at stupid videos. I watched him standing there in our kitchen, completely absorbed in his phone, and felt this overwhelming rush of something I couldn't quite name. Pride, maybe. Love, definitely. But also this deep satisfaction of knowing we'd made it through. The food started burning. Austin smelled it first. "Uncle Garrett, the rice!" I grabbed the pot off the stove. Salvageable. Barely. Austin shook his head. "Mom would be so disappointed in your cooking skills." "Your mom couldn't cook rice either. She always burned the bottom." "Did not." "Did too. Ask Grandma." We ate dinner arguing about Nicole's cooking skills, arguing like family does, easy and comfortable and safe. After Austin went to bed, I sat in the living room with her journal, reread that last entry like I did sometimes when things felt hard. "I hope they see what I see," she'd written. I saw it now. Took me 3 years and a lot of mistakes and more help than I wanted to admit I needed. But I saw it. Austin wasn't just the kid I got stuck raising. Wasn't just my responsibility or my burden or my second chance to get it right. He was Nicole's last gift. The best parts of her still walking around in the world. Her kindness, her resilience, her enormous capacity for forgiveness. And somehow, impossibly, he was mine too.